Safaricom's share price has been going up of late. And by that, I mean that the value of the stock has moved from 18 shillings, that is on 2nd May, to around 24.9 shillings on June 12th. And currently, that is as of yesterday, the average price for the stock was going for around 23 shillings and 7 cents. So you can see that the value of the stock has gone up. Why is this happening, and should you invest in this stock? There are several reasons as to why this is happening. And the first one is that it's dividend paying season. Safaricom just announced that they are going to be paying out 0.65 shillings for every share that you own or you will own by 31st July 2025. So in case you are interested in investing in this stock, now is your time. The payment date is going to be on 31st August 2025. Dividend payouts influence the price of the stock because we have stock investors who mainly look at dividends and they want to invest in stocks that pay out dividends. And it drives the price up because the price of a stock is determined by demand and supply. How many people are willing to buy that stock? How bad do they want to invest in that stock? And if there's high demand, the price of that stock goes up because I'm willing to pay 23 shillings so that I can receive that dividend. I'm willing to pay 21 shillings that the seller has listed for me to receive those dividends. The other reason is because the returns on alternative investments are going down. By that, I mean the returns on bonds, returns on treasury bills, returns on the money market funds. There was even a time that the returns on MMFs were going for 7%, as low as 7%. And even the bonds, the June bonds that were listed, we had 2 reopened bonds and they were giving 12% as the return and 12.75% as the return for the other bond. Now we have bond investors who are concerned with the rate. They don't want to lock their money for the next 5 years, for the next 6 years on a return that is giving them 12%, while they can take a risk and invest in stocks. And how all this is related to Safaricom is because for a newbie, the first stock that they invest in is Safaricom. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. What was the first stock that you ever invested in when you went into the stocks market? Most people relate, especially new investors, relate shares to Safaricom. They're like, oh, you want to invest in shares? Yeah, I have invested in Safaricom. So that's the common narrative. So there's that. The investors who are moving into the stock market because they're seeking out alternative investments have Safaricom as one of the companies that they want to that they're considering when investing in stocks. Now, the other reason, which I think has more weight, especially for long-term investors, is with regard to the performance of the Ethiopian market. Safaricom went ahead and invested in Ethiopia back in 2022. And there was a lot of skepticism with the investors. In fact, when you look at the value of the stock then, how it performed as a response to this investment, was that you'll notice from, like I'm showing you here, from July, let me use July. This is June, July, yeah. From July 2022, the value of the stock started going down. It went down to 2023. That is on May. That is in May. You can see that the stock was going for 15 shillings. It even went to 16 shillings. Then it went even further to around 12.10 shillings. When you look at that period, we had foreign investors who lost confidence. Of course, there are other factors like the exchange rate was also going down. Now, how it's related to that currently is because Safaricom released a report on 9th March. And in this investor report, I'm going to leave a link to that so that you check it out. There were indications that the Ethiopian market is growing, that it's performing, that in fact, they see themselves breaking even in 2026. If you are an investor and you see a report like this that is telling you that the customer base has increased by 103%, that the M-Pesa active users, the number of M-Pesa active users has increased by 68.7%. that the active data customers, customers who are using data has increased by 155%. And when you look at the volume of the transactions and the value of the transactions that are being done via M-Pesa are increasing. If you are a long-term investor and you're thinking about 5 years, 10 years down the line, and you see that there's a prospect that this investment is going to be profitable or it's heading towards profitability, why would you not want to invest in a stock right now? For an investor who is thinking like this, especially an investor who trades large volume, so we're not talking about Ivy who trades 1,000 shares, or James who owns like 5,000 shares. We're talking about investors who have 500,000 shares, 1 million shares. When they look at this, they'd want to put their money there. Now, the other reason is with regard to Kenya having a stable exchange rate. And it's very important, especially for a foreign investor, somebody who invests in USD. Look at this figure, that from July 2022, the value of the stock was going for around 29.95 shillings. Then you can see that there's that downward trend. In 2023, that is in January 2023, the value of the stock was going for around 22 to 23 shillings there. Then it kept going down to as low as 12.50 Kenyan shillings in October 2023. The trend was the same even in 2024. Let's look at March 2024. You can see that the stock was still playing around 13.75 shillings. Let's look at Kenya's exchange rate so that you can see what I am talking about. This is how the value of the Kenyan shilling was behaving. Let's start from 2022. Let's start from July 2022. You can see that one USD was going for around 118 shillings. Then it kept going up to 125, 126. Then it kept going up to 135. Let's go to October. It's going for around 148.79. Then it went to as high as 162.12 shillings in January 2024. You can see that during this period from March 2022 or from July 2022 that the value of the Kenyan shilling was going down. The value was depreciating. And at the same time, the value of the stock for Safaricom was also going down. How these two are correlated, like I said, it's with regard to foreign investors. Think about that foreign investor who is coming with their USD to invest in the Safaricom stock. They have to convert their money to Kenyan shillings, right? For them to own this stock. And even for them to receive the dividends in their currency, they have to convert the dividends that they earned in Kenyan shillings to USD. If one USD was going for, let's say, 100 shillings, and now one USD is going for around 160 shillings, then if you're going to receive the dividends, which are in Kenyan shillings, you'd want to exchange your money to USD. So you as a foreign investor, you're going to lose when the value of the Kenyan shilling has gone down. That is, it's trading at around 150, 160 there. At this time, you notice that many foreign investors were selling their stocks at Safaricom because of the exchange rate and also because of what was happening in Ethiopia. Now back to why the Safaricom stock is behaving well. When you look at the exchange rate for Kenya, that is from June, let's use June 2024 to around June 2025. You can see that the exchange rate has been stable. It has been trading around 129 shillings, 128 shillings there. So the stability gives investors confidence that they are not going to lose out on the returns that they get from these stocks. We have investors who would never invest in a Safaricom stock, and it's because they consider it to be a volatile stock. There was a time that it was even going for around 40 to 44 shillings. So you can imagine whoever bought those shares when they were trading for 44 shillings was expecting that the value of the stock would go up, and it went down. It went down to as low as 12 shillings per share. Then it has now gone to 24 shillings. So for somebody who has invested before, somebody who has lost, looking at this trend, they would rather invest in another stock than Safaricom stock, in as much as it's still profitable. Now, the other one is with regard to foreign investors investing in this stock, that majority of them choose this stock, and foreign investors are sensitive to the exchange rate. If the Kenyan shilling was to depreciate, majority of these investors would sell their stocks, and you as a local investor, you would feel the pressure because now everybody is selling and it's influencing the value of that stock in as much as the stock is still profitable. Overall, it's a good stock because it's a profitable company that has innovative products. If you're investing for the sake of dividends, then this is a good company to invest in. Would you invest in a Safaricom stock? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments.